Hi, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, and I wanted to take a second to just speak to anybody who's listening about a conversation I just had with my father. Now, my father is not my biological father. My biological father, he was a young guy, and things sometimes don't work out. So he really wasn't he definitely wasn't the person that raised me. I had a stepfather by the name of Larry Watkins, and one of the things I was talking to my dad about, and I really thought this would be something really great to discuss for anybody that can learn something from this conversation. And we were talking about manhood, and I was explaining to him what I learned from my father about manhood and why a father's presence is very important in the life of a child, especially a boy. One of the things that people have told me, that I knew a guy that worked in the crimes against children unit at a police station. He was talking about how so much molestation and child abuse occurs because children don't have fathers to protect them as often as they should. And we like to write it off. We like to pretend like it doesn't happen, but it's real. It does occur. And I think it's something that we should be concerned about. But one of the things that I also said to him was, I said, one of the things I really loved about you and the thing I respected about you so much was I always knew that we were protected. I always knew that we had a man in the house, not just a male, not just a guy with a penis. We had a man in the house. We had somebody in the house that would do what was necessary to make sure we were provided for and that we were protected. And if somebody had tried to molest us, there's a good chance they might have ended up dead or severely beaten. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the fact that my father would have whooped somebody's ass if he had touched one of his kids. And so, you know, what that led to was a conversation about manhood and the desire and ability of a man to protect what is his in terms of family and the people that he cares about. And really, without going too deep into it and going too many tangents, one of the things I expressed to him was, I said, what I respected about you. I mean, I said, I noticed that you were very successful. You got a lot of promotions, and raises all the time. You were getting, every time you moved to a better house. You had upward mobility as a result of your hard work, and I learned from that, and I respected that. But I said, those are not the things that made you a man to me, though. What made you a man to me is the fact that you always made an effort, a minute to minute, day to day choice to be the best man that you can be in that situation. Even if you didn't win the battle, you always showed up to fight. And I said, so in my opinion, the things that you accomplished, the external things that you achieved, were really a reflection and a symptom of who you were internally, as opposed to the factors that actually defined who you were as a man. And I share this because I want especially young brothers to know this. I want mothers and women who love their sons to make sure their sons learn this from some man that they trust. I want young women to understand this in terms of what they should look for in a potential husband, baby daddy. Any man you sleep with, any man you give access to your vagina, is potentially a father to your children. So don't let a bum go up in your body parts. That is not a winning strategy for life. You may think it's just sex, but Mother Nature may have a whole different plan for you that goes beyond just a one night stand or whatever it is you think you're doing with this guy who don't even love you. But anyway, I'm gonna just kind of finish on this note and basically say that manhood to me is not defined by always winning every battle. It really is defined by making a choice to always do your best, making a choice to exert your manhood into the situation that you're thrust into, and kind of giving everything you've got. It doesn't matter if you have a nickel in your pocket. It doesn't matter if all the odds are stacked against you. You make a choice at the end of the day as to whether or not you are going to pursue an empowered masculine strategy, or if you're going to pursue a punk ass strategy where you run from your problems, or you give up before the battle begins, or you wimp out, or you allow the situation to overtake you. You make that choice. Now, what happens after that is a whole different thing, but at the end of the day, manhood is defined by a decision to be a man. If you don't make a decision to be a man from the very beginning, then your chances of manhood are almost slim to none. And so, um, So when you're talking about raising boys, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not a big fan of the idea of raising boys to be punks and wimps. I know life is. I don't believe in coddling kids, especially boys, but girls either. I mean, I don't coddle my girls at all. Any money they get from me, they earn it. They work for it. If you work for it, you can. I'll give you $1 million if you earn it. But if you don't earn it, I'm not gonna give you anything. And I think and so whether it's boys or girls, I think understanding the importance of dedication and hard work and commitment are extremely important. But I think if you go back just to the essence of manhood, manhood begins when you decide to try. When you make a decision in that moment to be a man, then that's what you're going to be. And an example I gave my dad when we were talking about that is I said, you think about, because some people will say that, oh well, he could have been a man, but he didn't. Not all men have the same abilities as other men. Not all men have the same resources as other men. And I said, okay, that's cool. I said, but still, if you look at the show Good Times, and I know this is a fictional show, but I think that the principle can still apply. You look at James Evans Jr., the father on Good Times. He was a great father, very strong man, and he didn't have a good job. He lived in the projects. He was always struggling, but he always made a decision to exert his manhood. He wasn't gonna let you come in and hurt his family. He wasn't gonna let you come in and do things in his territory, in his space that he did not support as a man. And so it doesn't mean that the man always has to, be the king of the castle and all these other things. That's a whole different conversation. But my point at the end of the day is that I think that we do have a fundamental issue with some women having a difficult time respecting men, but we also have the issue of some men not making themselves worthy of being respected. So if a man chooses to be a king, treat him like a king. But if he's not being a king, then maybe he doesn't deserve that. But I think the same thing is true for women. If a woman's a queen, she deserves to be treated like a queen. But a man's not gonna treat you like a queen if you run around calling yourself a bad bitch and all these other, this other hip hop stuff that people are talking about. So that's all I really wanted to say. I'm a believer that manhood is important for the development of the black community. I believe that we need men leading. We also need strong women leading as well. I think women, in fact, one of the limitations of the civil rights movement and everything else is that women were not allowed to lead the way they should have been allowed to lead. But at the end of the day, manhood is a choice. So any young black men that are watching this, understand, in every situation you run into, good or bad, you always have the choice to make a choice. So use your choice to make a choice and always choose to be strong, even if you think you're going to lose the battle. Well, that's all I got to say. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World. Please take care. God bless. I'm gone. Peace.